for Christ's sake, never be the person who says, my life is peaked, the best of me is behind me, and you're always hand-wringing and talking about good old times. Having that remember when conversation is the lowest form of conversation. The lowest form of conversation that any two people can have is remember when, right? So in other words, remember when is the lowest form of conversation that any two people can have. If you have to go back to your memories of, man, remember when we had hair in college? Remember when in college we were jacked? Remember when in high school I played football and I was athletic? Remember when? All these remember whens? That means you've died. What can you do to constantly grow? The Japanese have a term called kaizen. Kaizen means forever improving and evolving to your better version, to your better self. We talk about going from 1.0 to the 2.0 self, right? Going from the human animal that's impulsive, that's greedy, that's selfish, that is reactive, and transcending to the 2.0 self, to the human being who's not like a human animal, but is connected to consciousness, is able to witness himself when he is in a place of stress, anxiety, depression, and is able to course correct and go, the reason I'm feeling this way is because my conscience is telling me that I'm living incongruently with the man that I should be, and therefore I'm feeling anxiety. This is how my conscience reminds me that I'm not living the congruent life that I should. I'm not aligned with the values that I hold true to myself. That's what anxiety, depression is. And when you live the never peak lifestyle, you realize that, all right, I'm gonna live by my core values. I'm gonna be congruent with the man that I say I am. And oh, by the way, I'm gonna constantly develop new skills, traits, abilities, etc. If you are living this mindset that the best of you is behind you, that you are now just working for the man and paying your taxes, doing your 9 to 5 and barely getting by, and you've succumbed to mediocrity, and you hope that your kids live a better life than you, well, hope is not a plan, my friend. Hope is simply not a plan. What is a plan is to go, all right, I get it. As a human, I'm adaptable.
You have to change in order for your life to change. If you do not change, your life will not change. It will be exactly the same as it is now. And a lot of people I feel like in the world are thinking that their life is going to change, but they don't have to do anything. So they're kind of just waiting for their life to change versus actually going out there and physically making it change. And it's kind of like Einstein says, to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results is the definition of insanity. And so there is a psychological cycle that you will go through almost any change that you go through. And that's what we're going to go through today. There's two psychologists Don Kelly and Daryl Connor, developed a model that deals specifically with the emotional aspects of change and emotionally how you will feel as you're in these different stages that you go through in change. When you're feeling optimistic and excited is to make yourself a list of the benefits that you hope to achieve. Because when it comes, it's going to come back to, you're going to want to give up at some point in time. When you think about quitting, remember why you started. Now that you're at the beginning and you're in that uninformed optimism, make a list of all of the benefits you hope to achieve. All of the reasons why you're excited about taking this journey and making this change so that you have something to remind yourself of later on when things start to get hard. Eventually, you start to see some of the difficulties that are coming up, and the benefits don't seem as real. And you start to see the costs more than you see the benefits. So you're seeing more of the costs of what you're going to have to do and change and how you're going to have to change, how your life is going to have to change, but you see less of the benefits. And this stage is really characterized by frustration, anxiety, and really is where you start to feel the desire to quit. You start to see the changes. Humans are uncomfortable with change that we have to make, and you start to think, oh man, maybe I can't do this. Maybe this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And as all of this reality sets in, the positive emotions that you had before quickly turn to pessimism. And the benefits can seem less real. They seem like maybe they're not even possible. They're not as important as they used to be. And the costs become really, really apparent. And this is where you will start to question yourself. You'll start to question the benefits. If the benefits that you'll get from success or from whatever it is that you want are worth all of the effort you're going to have to put in. you're going to start to question all of the things that you were doing before.
I think one of the most common problems that people have is not that they don't know what to do to dramatically move their life forward in a substantial way. Like, you know exactly what you need to do right now. There's probably something that you've been avoiding like the plague, but the problem is not that you don't know what that is. The problem is that you just can't bring yourself to do it. And that's the common theme every single day, is that when you sit down to do this thing, you feel a feeling. And it almost seems unfair how potent this feeling of resistance is, because it's usually only present when you think about doing things that are genuinely good for you. So it's like, what's the deal with that? Why does it seem like life is set up that way? Wouldn't it be better if you just actually enjoyed doing difficult things? Wouldn't it be better if you actually had the motivation to be creative, or to write a paper, or to do your taxes? Like, you probably want nothing more than to be someone who genuinely enjoys and looks forward to doing the things that are good for you, doing the things that empower you. So if you need to do one particular thing, then if you do this, you will do it. Like, you will have no choice. The solution is boredom. Ironically, that's also the problem. The solution and the problem are the same thing. You don't want to do that work because it's so boring to your brain. You want to gouge your eyes out. All of these distractions that you have around sound so much more entertaining than doing that thing. So you always have a back door. Why in hell would you write an essay when you could be checking Instagram, when you could be watching YouTube videos like this one? But the key realization is that your brain doesn't see objective entertainment values. It's always relative. A good analogy for this is when you're spending all day outside in the sun, it's a super bright day, and then you walk into a dim room or a store. That indoor space feels super dark. You're like, man, I can't see anything. What is this? And then you see that weird, like, fake sun in your periphery that starts to fade. Everything looks like weird and purpley. And in a very similar way, if you've been asleep for a couple hours and you have to get up and go to the bathroom, you turn the lights on and it's just blinding. It's not that that bathroom is any more bright than it was before you went to bed when you were brushing your teeth. It's just that your brain interprets things using contrasts. It uses comparison. So the key is to utterly delete the back doors. The key is to strip away every single option, to sit in a blank room with nothing in it, no phone, nothing. Eliminate your ability to do anything other than the thing that you need to do, and you will do it.
For mastering internal triggers, it's called the 10-minute rule. This comes from acceptance and commitment therapy. And the 10-minute rule says that you can give in to any distraction, any distraction. Maybe it's smoking that cigarette if you're trying to quit. Maybe it's eating that piece of chocolate cake if you're on a diet. Maybe it's checking social media, whatever it is, whatever distraction. You can give in to that distraction, but not right now. You can give in 10 minutes. Don't misunderstand, not for 10 minutes. Sometimes people get it wrong. It's in 10 minutes, okay? So what does that do? What that does is, we talked about psychological reactance earlier, and you asked, what do you do about psychological reactance? You're allowing yourself to acknowledge that you are in control. Okay, you decide. What many people do is they have strict abstinence, right? Strict abstinence says, no, I will not do it, right? I won't eat sugar. I won't get distracted. I will do this. I will do that. As opposed to saying, hey, I'm an adult. I can do whatever I want. I choose not to go off track for the next 10 minutes. That's it. In 10 minutes, I can give into whatever I want. So now I'm in control. You know, the whole just say no technique, turns out, makes you ruminate and think about and have more discomfort around the thing you want, increasing these internal triggers, and that actually is what makes you give into that distraction.